Hello and welcome to another edition of Jaime's Take. In this particular episode, I'm going to be discussing what's it like for prospective tenants at street level working with me, and what have the experiences been in the last few weeks. I've said in my previous video that the rental median price might have plateaued. Whether we're going to see a continuance of that plateau, or are we going to slide down the other side of that hill and see a decrease in rental costs over the next months, and how obvious will that change be? We're going to discuss that. So for the prospective tenant that wants to spend time with me hitting the streets, I had a few in the last while that were rather typical rental cases, and yet we wound up in an epic battle of wills and addresses. So in one particular case, I had a 2-bedroom pair of young ladies. We applied to a number of locations. We fought a lot of crowds to see some units. Some we saw privately, and some we saw in open house situations. On average, there was about 10 to 12 other candidates at these open houses. We did succeed in getting them an apartment. One of the things I wanted to say here is when you're working with the tenant's agent, it's important to, one, let them do their job. If you do a lot of searching on your own and a lot of contacting agents outside of the realm of your relationship with your agent, confusing things can happen. It's possible that a listing agent that you might attend an open house with your clients with might believe that they are unrepresented. That might have to do with the fact that tenants have been communicating with them outside of the realm of your tenant's agent, and that can create confusion about who represents who and who is privy to the deal. So I think that's an important thing to remember. Let your agent make the appointments. In the most previous case, I succeeded yesterday with a major landlord for a young lady for a studio for $2,700. We were passed over by 4 apartments. 2 of them were condos and 2 were regular rentals. One of the things I want to tell both agents and prospective tenants alike is when you're in a situation where you are repeatedly applying, you don't want to hurt your credit score with repeated inquiries. So the Fair Credit Act allows you to have your credit score printout given to you anytime that it's taken. Sometimes agents forget to issue these to people that they've considered for apartments, especially when the tsunami of people is so big. But don't be shy. You definitely ask for it, and they're certainly going to give it to you. Number one, this is going to save you $20 for further attempts that you may make. And you can tell if your credit's been pulled, because if they're not giving you this paper, then they didn't pull your credit. For my successful client who succeeded yesterday, I found that one listing agent that we went to did not barely give the young lady any consideration, did not use the $20 to assess her credit, and I certainly got on the phone and told him, you need to return that young lady's $20 right now. And I went through and I checked with other agents that we'd interacted with in an application and ensured that I either had that credit report, which I could use potentially in another application if permitted, or that $20 came back. Watch out for this. There are some agents out there that are being really sloppy in this respect. So what have I gleaned from the most recent experiences on the street? I can tell you this, especially with yesterday's success. The success yesterday was with a major landlord that owns a lot of buildings in the city. We're talking thousands of apartments. This type of landlord tends to have their ears to the tracks, and they know very well what the pricing trends are and probably what they're about to lead to in the next weeks. In previous experiences with this landlord, prospective tenants of mine have been pit against other applicants. There's even been moments if I've wondered if the other competing applicant even existed. This unit was on the market for 2 days. It wasn't publicized online, but all agents that have a relationship with this landlord receive a printed version of the landlord's list. So there was an excellent chance that numerous agents had possibly seen or tried to attack for this apartment, and yet we still got it. We were not required to submit anything extra. We did not face any questions. We weren't being asked to, bring on a guarantor to strengthen our application. This leads me to believe that this landlord, who understands this market for the last 50 years in this city, I think I'm getting that cue that we have plateaued and that these prices are going to slip. They're taking what they can get at the top of their range and not saying anything about it and taking it. Well, before it was at the top of the range, and who wants to go over it, right? So I have a feeling that for those of you who are seeking to lease an apartment for November the 1st, you might actually experience a little bit of the decrease in pricing that I think is on the horizon. I think the major pain is over, and I've also noticed in the last 7 to 10 days that the amount of inventory that some major landlords are, they're putting out much more inventory in their blasts to us as agents. Now, some of these other landlords that I typically in the past have seen lists of 20 to 30 apartments, say like on the Upper East Side, those landlords are still bearing maybe 0 in one case, or 3 or 5 units, still at the top of the price range. So if you are looking for an apartment and you need an agent who is going to take very good care of you, give me a call. I do have my ears to the tracks and have access to sometimes things people don't always expect. I was also informed by one of my most recent clients as well that they found that agents weren't exactly kind. You do not need to work with any agent that is not going to treat you well and treat you the way they would want to be treated. I've heard things like snarly remarks. You need to be spending at least $3,500, or you're wasting your time with me. With me, it is never a waste of time to interact with you. Nobody ever wastes my time. An opportunity to interact with somebody that's going to be meaningful and help them find their toehold in the market, either with me or on their own, is perfectly acceptable to me. And if you're seeking somebody who is not only going to care about your rental needs, but is actually going to listen to your vision, and that's something I've been hearing a lot from people. So if you have questions or comments about the rental market, if you're looking for an apartment, definitely reach out. I would love to hear comments about your experiences in the last few weeks in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe.